Hi everyone, this is Rahul. Today we're going to spend some time on reading comprehension workshops. My quick advice is to use your headphones because it's English. Unlike quants, you need to spend some time in reading the reading comprehensions and time to analyze the same. So let me quickly set up the agenda for today's class. So agenda for today's class is reading comprehension overview. How does a reading comprehension in CAT looks like? The types of RCs asked in CAT. The major reasons for not doing well in RC. So this is going to be the myth breaker today, in which I'm going to open your horizons and tell you how you can really crack CAT RCs. Next, followed by King's rules to crack reading comprehensions, and towards the end I'll discuss a summary of the whole discussion points. Let's look at this. So major reasons for not doing well in CAT RCs, or for that matter any competitive exams like CET, NMAT or SNAP. Lots of students complain that there is not enough time to crack it. Yes, it's partly true in some cases for sure, but this is not the end of the world where you can keep on complaining about the same thing, that you don't have time and your reading speed is slow. Sorry for the missing of S over there. I think I was typing too fast. Second reason could be the passages are complex. They're too complex passages. Yes, CAT can ask you questions on philosophy, on globalization, on politics, on culture, on history, on CAT's most favorite Darwin theory, and definitely some of the history like Egyptian civilization or Mesopotamian civilization, or even those days of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. It also adds on to the next point of the limited familiarity. Yes, definitely some people talk about this a lot. So a quick tip here, guys, is that let's get familiar with as many topics as you can. A quick guidance over here would be CATKing books has all the 81 reading comprehensions asked in the past 8 to 10 years of your examinations. A good student should do about 2 to 3 RCs every day and get familiarized with all the topics. Not enough retention? Definitely yes. If there is a passage of about 10 lines, most of you must have come across this, in which you read the first 3 lines and you move forward and you see, hey, I've read the first 3 lines, but I don't know what did I read above. So this is going to be the case. So we're going to be working on this not enough retention thing. By the end of this session, you should all be able to crack this. Answer choices are very close. If I have to add, very close. Definitely yes, answer choices are very close. So if you're a good student, if you understand the mentality of a CAT paper sitter, this should not be a problem. Loss of concentration, back and forth. So not enough retention and loss of concentration goes both hand in hand. But if you are a good student and you understand what's the way in which paper setter is making your concentration go haywire, you can really crack it. Moving forward to the next slide here. The major reason to struggle with the reading comprehension is active reading or passive reading. Let's learn quickly what is active reading. I'm going to quickly show you what kind of reading comprehensions have been coming in CAT again and again. If you have to make a guess, what's active reading? Yes, some of you must have thought about it in the right way. Yes, active reading is you know what you're reading, whether it's a Darwin theory or whether it's a globalization piece or whether it's something about politics. You know what you're reading. Looking forward in this active reading of the active reading part of the entire process, the questions asked in reading comprehensions are mainly what's the crux, what's the main idea of the passage, what the author is trying to convey, or even the questions like summary of the reading comprehension, even the main idea of the passage come in this category of what's the crux. So moving forward to the second piece is the information. We all love such questions. Information questions are nothing but in which the author is giving you direct information or data points, or in which you can just go back to the question and get an answer. There was a time in CAT when such things used to be pretty common, in which information based question or fact based question for that matter used to be pretty common. But now in the past couple of years, the information based questions are going low. The next one, if we move forward, is the structure of the passage. This part is mainly inspired from the topics like from the reading comprehensions of GMAT as well as GRE, where what author tries to give you is ask you questions on the structure. Is author trying to explain one simple idea in paragraph number 1, and paragraph number 2 he's talking about the details of the same? So it means he's trying to give one simple idea, and in the second paragraph he's giving 2 examples to support it. That could be one type of structure. Other type of structure could be in which he's trying to put forward a point, and in the second or the third paragraph he's trying to negate the same thing by giving some different examples. So that could be a structural question. The conclusion question are similar to the crux question itself. So conclusion questions, the best thing, a quick tip here is conclusion questions, you need to look towards the end of the entire passage, because any smart author is always going to write a reading comprehension or a passage in such a way that conclusion of the entire RC is at the end of the passage. So that's a quick tip for the conclusion. It also brings to my mind to tell you one quick thing about how the first line and the last line of entire reading comprehension is important. So the first line is definitely the definition, or the author is trying to set up a stage. So any good author or a poet is going to make sure that the first few lines and the last few lines are having the main essence of the entire thing. So hence the first few lines and the last few lines are really important whenever you read a reading comprehension, or even for that matter a newspaper or an editorial column. You should be looking for the first and the last piece. The last, my favorite for sure, is the tone of reading comprehension. The tone of reading comprehension questions are nothing but they're straightforward question in which they're trying to ask you what is the author feeling at that very moment when he's saying the same thing. Is author critical? Is author cynical? Or is author irritated, for that matter? There are a couple of reading comprehension tones which are asked again and again. For example, if you ask about CAT, my favorite is critical, and the second one which comes pretty often is called cynical. Now, I'm going to have an entire session on the tones of reading comprehension, but let me quickly explain you these things. The tone of the reading comprehension is critical and cynical. There's a thin line between two. If I say, hey guys, if you are attentive in my presentation, it's going to help you in CAT, and you're going to get 10 more marks in your existing scores. So let's put it this way. Rahul announced, if you're going to be attentive in the presentation from now, you're going to get 10 more marks. So what is a cynical person going to say about me? Take a 10-second break and think about it. So a cynical person would always be doubting. The thing doesn't go into his head. Whereas a critical person is going to assimilate the information and then ask questions. For example, a cynical person, if I ask him, hey, 10, you're going to get 10 more marks if you're attentive in my presentation, he's going to ask, what about the rest 90 marks? Alright, so he's cynical here. So he's doubting the whole thing. He's not understanding. Whereas a critical person is going to talk about, alright, why Rahul is saying 10 marks? Does he know the paper? Or does he know the exam pattern? Or he's so much experienced? Or why he's telling me the information right now on a video log? So you understand the difference between critical and cynical. Critical gets the information to the head and then analyzes it and then can be positive or negative about it, whereas cynical is always doubting. So this is mainly about the tones of the reading comprehension. So moving forward, the most important thing, engage in the material but ignore a few. Just ignore a few parts for a minute, and then let's focus on engage in the material. The biggest mistake what all the students do in a reading comprehension RC is they look at the RC and they say, hey, Darwin theory, I don't know any jack shit about Darwin theory. Hey, biology, oscillomosis, what the hell is oscillomosis? I'm not going to understand it. Or whenever he reads the reading comprehension, he starts with it and he complains in his own mind, hey, I'm not going to understand it. What you're going to do is, first of all, step number 1 is fiend. Or before that, avoid the Sunday newspaper syndrome. This is my favorite part. So what is Sunday newspaper syndrome? Sunday newspaper syndrome is nothing but picking up your people who are in Mumbai, people picking up your Bombay Times and breezing through the photos and movie stars and lying on the couch with one leg above the couch and one below, etc. This is the Sunday newspaper syndrome. Most of the students read reading comprehensions in this way. I'm going to give you a quick tip here. Take reading comprehension as a sprint. Breathe for a second before you jump into entire any reading comprehension during your exam or during your mock CATs. Why I'm saying so? Because you're going to be more attentive in the entire process. I'm going to be telling you a few tips about how you're going to be attentive or how you're going to be engaging in the material. The number one tip is feel enthusiasm. Hey, this is a reading comprehension on Turkish policies of women empowerment. Alright, in your head you're thinking, oh, alright, what I'm going to do with the Turkish policies, I'm not going to understand anything out of it. Whereas you're going to say to yourself, hey, so cool, Turkish policies, I'm going to read about it, I'm enthusiastic to learn more. This is going to help you in making the entire process smoothen for you and getting engaged. The next one, visualize. Visualize the entire thing when you're doing whenever you're reading a reading comprehension. Why I'm saying so, try relating the same thing with your own personal experiences. When we do the actual practices, we're going to talk about it. The first and the last sentence of each paragraph, as I spoke about it, and the next is the transition words. In good old days when CAT used to be paper based, it was easy to find the transition word. A good author always talks about his ideas by giving emphasis on that. In fact, giving emphasis in any language is a good author style. So whenever an author uses words like nevertheless or further to explain this, moreover, finally, these are the transition words. Secondly, lastly. So always look out of these words because there's a new set of information or new set of transitioning happening in your entire RCs. So look for these transition words. Next one, the non-neutral words. I'll speak a little bit about non-neutral words in the coming presentation, but the non-neutral words are nothing but in which author is trying to emphasize on a couple of things. We'll speak about it. Don't memorize details. I'm sure you have been trained like this. Most of the students who have been going to different coaching institutes are being trained on that. Hey, don't memorize the things. So I'm going to give you a different tip. In CAT reading comprehension, the author is not testing your memorizing skill. He's not testing if you entirely read a comprehension, are you able to memorize the things. He's not testing on that. So please understand the author's mindset upon this. So if you're memorizing details, you're just wasting time. At the same time, always know where is the location of the details. For example, if you're talking about a reading comprehension on Turkish policies in which he's trying to put some a large economic words or macroeconomic policies or microeconomics, or he's talking about a simple statement like FDIs, percentage increase, statistics, you can definitely ignore them. Don't spend time in understanding or memorizing, for that matter, in these statistics, because you're going to be wasting time on the entire passage. Nobody's going to ask you when you come out of exam, hey, in that reading comprehension, do you remember that? No. In that very moment, if the questions are there itself and the answers are there in the passage, a good paper setter is never going to ask you to memorize any details. Moving forward, time to tame the reading comprehensions. So how to tame it? Rule number one, in your CAT, your entire reading comprehension is segregated in a difference of two. If I have to make a line in between. On the left hand side, you're going to see questions, and on the right hand side, you're going to see some answers. At the same time, if you are giving CMAT exam, there were some formatting issues in which the entire reading comprehension was given as one big line. It may happen in your CAT also, but at the same time, or in your CMAT for that matter as such. But if that happens, make sure that you don't get petrified with the same thing, because it's happening for most of the students. Even if the formatting is good, bad or ugly, you need to do that. Rule number one, read the first question asked. Without jumping onto the entire passage, read on the first question whichever is asked in your exam. Don't read the alternative. At the same time, read the passage with the ease. You should be easily going through the passage